and expand infrastructure that enables the transition. But city governments can clearly also use their regulatory power. And I think this is really one of the slides which is super encouraging. Policy support, supporting renewable energy in place in 2020. And what is really interesting here, so when it comes to policy, this is net zero is a driver or energy. It can also be air pollution. But what is interesting, on the right side, you see that cities, contrary to national governments, for instance, do not only support renewable power, so the electricity part, but also renewable energy for heating and cooling, in the building sector and in transport. From power transition to an energy transition and really allow for decarbonizing all economic activities. Now, obviously, not everything is great, and there are challenges ahead. I think this is there are many opportunities. But what we have identified in this report is clearly that there is a lacking awareness on different aspects. One is that renewable is not always understood as that cities themselves might actually not recognize, just because historically energy supply was very much handled by that national governments may actually not consider the role of cities, the key role cities play in creating the support for mainstreaming renewable energy, but also for really developing lacking legislative power and access to resources. And I think many of you in the room might encounter this in your cities. There are capacity constraints in city government. What we also or stronger integration between the policy levels, that there are conflicting policies and priorities. Market rules and energy regulations might differ very much between the national level. National level subsidies for fossil fuel, for instance, undermine city action. And then I think Vincent has mentioned this very clearly. There is a lack of data to inform decisions. And I think Iman will certainly come to this topic later too. We need targets, or targets need policies and master plans for implementation. But to take this decision, it is really important to have the right information and data that feeds into information processes, but also data to really track the report on the progress and readjust. So what is the consequence of this? There is clearly a need for renewable transition, but also for renewable. Cities need to be empowered to build. I think what is really important to drive the transition. So in all global strategies, it's really important to integrate the local perspective because much of the change needs to happen at the local level. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Rana, for this very informative presentation. I always I like this word that you can only manage what you can count. Meaning that data is very important. If you want to develop policy, you want to develop the action plan, you want to develop strategy, you need to understand where you are. What are your needs for energy? What are your needs for resources? And also, what are the potential that you have in place? You mentioned that we should put in place a system where we making energy, renewable energy the norm. And this is very important because the only way we can reduce our carbon footprint is really to invest in the energy sectors. You mentioned that the building sectors together with the transport sector, putting them together, they account for. And you also mentioned that 75 greenhouse gas emission. What does that entail? If we want to address climate change, we want to manage carbon, we have to do that. And to do that, we need to invest on cleaner. You also mentioned, I want awareness. Awareness is very key in what we are doing. And that is perhaps one of the objectives of this round. Not many footprint that they are contributing a lot on carbon footprint, on greenhouse gas emission. So I will I will continue. I hope that you will be with us so that because the floor there will be some question. If you are leaving, just let us know. I may ask.
No, I'm here, but because I would really like
to hear you.
Sorry, you cannot hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Do you hear me? Yes? No, what apologies for jumping in. How they are contributing to climate change, but I also think it's really important to see that they are not aware of the opportunities renewable to reach their own agenda. Economic opportunities, job creation, etc. It underlines very much how renewable energy is a key economic and industrial developments and on social benefits. So, sorry.
Precision. So, yes, I can.
Barrister, I want to ask, benefit from your know-how and financially make a win-win.
Pour travailler sur les problèmes de cette ville et d'autres villes. Nous n'avons pas la. On est assis autour d'une table et on parle l'un après. Vous êtes en train de faire là. Il n'y avait pas un porte. Il n'y avait pas un seul. Donc, seulement visioconférence. Parce que là, c'est la visioconférence qui vient de naître dans notre pays, Cameroun, où vous êtes maintenant. L'université et les hôpitaux, tout le monde travaillait à distance. Donc, sachez que c'est là. Si nous n'avons pas seulement les études, nous, le Cameroun a investi beaucoup dans propre. Mais quand maintenant vous ne parlez que des qui maintenant doit gérer la terre, ce n'est pas vrai. Il n'y a pas que le soleil, il y a l'eau. Et l'eau est plus forte que le soleil. Donc, sachez que nous avons des approches braquées, des principes nouveaux, comme si ce n'est que ça le début et la fin du monde.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
OK.
Soyons précis, soyons brefs dans nos interventions parce que nous avons encore 3 autres panélistes qui doivent présenter.
Okay, my name is Nyang George, civil engineer working for UN Habitat in the city of Douala. I have just 2 questions. Talking about compact cities, we have this issue of mass transit, that is formal and informal transit in urban to handle. The second question goes as such. I see your work is centered mostly on urban areas and nothing for semi-urban areas or rural areas. And I think if we keep focusing only on the urban areas, a diseconomic situation can easily set in. How do we intend to handle that? Thanks, and over to you.
Thank you very much. The last question. These are all questions for Rana.
Thank you very much. My name is Jean Goumet, student at the International Relations Institute of Cameroon. My field of research is about green finance, in fact. So within the town, is there not a possibility where from biogas we can produce electricity that will help generate enough finance to reduce carbon emissions? Now, my second question, or the other aspect of my first question, is that through credit carbon, is there not a way UN Habitat could create a platform where we could put together those in need of those credit carbon and those selling those credit carbon?
Thank you. Yeah. The one on how can we benefit from and also so that they can transform the potential that they have into opportunity. And to UN Habitat and also the government of Cameroon on how could we create a platform for carbon credit. For that, we can answer. But again, before giving you the floor, I just want to respond. The setting of the room, saying that this is not a roundtable, this is like a lecture that we are giving. We experience. That's why us around, and also the issue of different type of. We can also talk. There are 6 types. There is not just the solar energy. There is hydropower. There is geothermal. There is wind. There is biogas. There is there are biomass technology. So there are 6 of waves. So we are talking about renewable and renewable. Not just focusing on one. We discuss longer. I mean, hydropower. I know Cameroon has 60% of energy, but if you look at it, you will realize that the setting that has been put in place are also contributing to greenhouse gas emissions. Generating electricity from Edea, and from Edea, they are carrying electricity all the way to Bamenda, which is not efficient. There are a lot of wastage of technology, of energy. Please, the floor is yours. Please try to, so that the knowing that he has one partner now, that is REN 21.
Yes. And it's built on what you said, because I think it the focus on urban centers and sub. We are not speaking about energy solutions, and depending on the resources from a country to another, from a city to another. What is interesting, I think, about power, gas, etc., locally, so where the energy demand, and this offers lots of opportunities for cities to become, for cities and citizens and companies to become generators. Now, on the cities, but on cities integrated. I think that is something which is extremely important when we speak about, Alice mentioned about often also opportunities for developing local renewable energy. So there are still some, but anchored also in suburban and rural areas. Often there might be other resources, etc. Now, how can you benefit our knowledge, but not only our knowledge at ROUNDTABLE? I think it is the knowledge of the players here around of connecting networks of mayors, etc. Space for our side as a renewable energy player. We work very much with insights of the cities and of renewable energy together. So yes, unfortunately, COVID has moved us into spaces, and we would love. That's one thing, but it really in the rendezvous, which really hard from a table to another to really engage with the players and learn from those from these insights, but also share your insights and ask the questions which sometimes are painful, because this is also needed so that we are better in finding the solutions. Access to finance is definitely one of those challenging questions, and I think here is a very deep disconnect between the city space and the national and international climate finance. I think that, and finance in general. So I know that the city networks, and also, if I recall correctly, there is an energy compact specifically looking at access of cities to climate finance. So this is clearly something where we need strong innovation and strong commitment to channel basically funding to the cities so that they can implement. Unfortunately, ROUNDTABLE is no finance organization, so we cannot support you here, but we're very happy to share our insights. And I think this was mainly the question for me, if I'm not mistaken, Vincent.
A point that you raised, I just, the mayor of Buea, Sub-Saharan Africa, that also is also another window of opportunity that could also assist. We'll be having a list of participants, and we'll share some of also window financing, window opportunity with you, so that you could reach out to that. Maybe regarding the question of in Cameroon of different investment and also environment and sustainable development. So one could address, because there is a green climate fund that exists, there is also the GF, the Global Environment Fund. So I know that I'll go for the can open starting in 30 Sanjay Seth. I want to give the floor to Sanjay Seth, which is the Senior Director of the Sustainable Habitat Division at the Energy and India, that meaning that that connected to building code. They have also developed index. That is the reason why we wanted to share their experience. So learn from leading towards the local. So, Mr.
Thank you very much. Welcome to all of our esteemed panelists and the audience which has gathered here. That day, if I may say, to all of us who have, I think, come together to share this very important subject of driving sustainability. As Mr. Vincent said about TERI, which is the Energy and Resources Institute, a think tank which works very closely through policy analysis, urban planning, capacity building, and knowledge creation. And we've been, I think, in this business for the last many years. As you know, under the Paris Agreement, India was signatory to committing that we would reduce our emission intensity to 35%. And we have a way that one of renewable that has been announced by our honorable being made towards this endeavor. But why we say that is important is when I say that I mean my on the fact that what gets and unless these are moving into the urban space, and we think that by about 2030, nearly 40% of our population is going to be ending up living out of cities. And this is really going to increase rapidly. So obviously, when we are going to urbanize like this, there is going to be a huge amount of pressure on energy, because that really is the driving force, the prime mover as far as economic development is concerned. But yet, we are on a path where we are going to, we are ensuring that bulk of it is on a sustainable path. I'm very happy to share India's per capita emissions today are only 1.6 tons of CO2, well below the global average of about 4.4 tons. And we intend to kind of move on that path. Now when we say that, so obviously we are also trying to correct, because our main state, you see, for energy production or electricity production is coal, and that's the prime source that we really, but gradually the integration with renewables is increasing, and we are hoping that by 2030, we would continue to maintain that 60% of renewables and 40% of, of the coal. And gradually, we are already seeing that the renewable generation prices have kind of come down very well, and they are much better than the coal production. And we hope that eventually we would integrate this into the grid systems in a much larger way. But one of the things which we need to understand is that while we talk about net zero, we talk about, I think I would be more comfortable if I use the word near zero. And we are on that trajectory where we talk about near zero. I mean, net zero is a concept which is very idealistic, but I think near zero is a more achievable kind of a target. And if you look at our building codes, or if you look at all the guidelines and provisions and the policies that have been put in place, we are all aiming towards near zero. As we move along, the near zero keeps increasing. Now, what
Hello?
Sorry, yeah. What is very, very important is that, when we are talking about renewables and integration of renewables, maybe if you look at commercial buildings or in the residential sector, we need to optimize these renewable sources. And the best way to optimize is to piggyback on energy efficiency. And that's what the driving force in our country is. That we have very, very robust policies for energy efficiency. We want to make sure that energy efficiency is really taken to the highest levels before we start integrating it with renewables. And once you do that, you are not only bringing down you're optimizing the renewables into the renewable integration, as well as bringing down the price. Because after all, a developing country, we need to be very careful of our economic resources as to how do we really go about buying them. And cost-effective, technologies become the key driver when we talk about these developments. On the other hand, in order to support, like we have the smart city mission that is implemented in the country, where we have, I think, more than in the first phase we had about 100 smart cities. There is a 100 smart city program, which has been now escalated to making it into a 500 smart city program. So gradually we keep ratcheting it up. Now, when we do that, these cities are evaluated on various parameters as to how the cities are performing into the policy implementation and integrating all of these policies within the frameworks of implementation. And that you need to have tools and platforms where cities are encouraged to go and put data, because as I said, what gets measured gets managed is the key driver. And cities then are being encouraged to go ahead, put in the data, how they are performing, we evaluate them in terms of their performances, and then rank them in terms of the performances. And that really is it's a confidence building measure. It also brings in some amount of competitiveness among the various urban local bodies and municipalities, and then it kind of drives them. So the carrot and stick approach is something which we are adopting. Now, there are missions which are there, so which are we are on a mission mode. Most of these, if you see the smart city, the mission for rejuvenation and urban transformation, these are all key kind of missions which are driving the smart city mission and the mission for urban rejuvenation and transformation. These are all working in tandem to make sure that eventually we are able to achieve the objective. And as I think in the forum on the platform today, many of us have agreed that cities are the largest emitters as far as GHG emissions are concerned. And likewise, they are the biggest consumers as well of resources. And we would definitely not want to, go and develop one at the cost of the other. So ecology, environment, and economic development need to coexist. We need to strike a balance. So while we are aspiring to develop, but it should not be at the cost of the environment and ecology. So the endeavor is to strike a balance, to move ahead, to make sure that the coexistence between the environment and that coexistence factor is kept in mind while we do that. There are many examples that we have, and also in order to make sure that the learning process is not only limited to the subcontinent of India, but globally we need to learn from each other some of the good practices. And so the concept of urban living labs is something which we are working very closely on with international partners which are supporting such things, and where we really see on ground what has worked well and where is it that we have achieved success, where is it that we have not achieved success, and what the reasons are. And once we are able to capture all of this, then the urban living lab becomes a learning experience for other cities to kind of emulate and implement similar solutions that may be faced by them. So obviously I could carry on and on, but I think in the interest of time, I should stop here, and we've already lost a lot of time in organizing this. And I thank you for this opportunity. And of course, I'm there for any questions that may come up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay. It's always a pleasure talking, hearing the experience from Terry. I know you just mentioned that you are helping the Indian government to achieve the Paris Agreement pledge, that is to reach a 30% reduction of greenhouse gas emission by 2030. I just also want to mention that also the Cameroonian government also made a pledge during the Paris conference of achieving, I think it was 36% of their energy, of their carbon footprint by 2030. Of course, the minister is not here. We could have asked the minister, how far are we? And the other question will also be, what are the measures being put in place so that we can achieve that target? He mentioned that the Indian population being 1.4 million people, it also impacting enormously on the greenhouse gas emission, because they consume, there is a lot of energy demand, and that was also very important. And perhaps the other points which I want also to mention is about the fact that he preferred the wording. Now, I will just thank you very much for that presentation. I think I will just ask the participant maybe to go to the website of Terry. You'll find a lot of material there, a lot of publication that they have done. They have developed a lot of policy that may help local government and also national government in developing their new policy. Allow me to invite Dr. Muhammad Gambo, who is the director of the Center of Excellence of Shelter Afrique. The reason why Shelter Afrique was invited to this panel is because this is an agency that has been giving a bigger mandate to build social houses in Africa. And we want to know where they are, and considering that the building sector being the major contributor of greenhouse gas emission, we want also to know the policy of Shelter Afrique towards green buildings, or rather net zero building. So Dr. Gambo, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Vincent. It's been a pleasure inviting me for this roundtable session. I would like to confirm whether my presentation, is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, okay. So I would like to start by appreciating this invitation handed over to me to participate in the 2021 World Habitat Day, and more especially to participate in this roundtable session, which talks about renewable resources for urban climate mitigation. So I have a short presentation, very concise and hands-on. So we have also talked about the challenge of climate change in Africa and globally, the issue, what needs to be done. But most importantly, what we need to understand from the context of the need for implementation strategies in terms of attending to the challenge or the crisis of climate change is that housing plays a very important role. And also housing delivery in Africa, all aware that we are facing a crisis in terms of housing deficit. We have the challenge of rice slums across cities in Africa, and also which just has been exacerbated by the challenge of COVID. So we need to, at the same time, the need to deliver units, housing units across Africa, and also at the other end, we need to be sustainable. We're all aware of the challenge of climate change, and at the same time, the need for housing delivery is overgrowing. So how can we be able to marry these aspects together to achieve the set objective? So that's what this presentation seeks to achieve. Just an overview, Shelter Africa is the Pan-African Housing Finance Institution, which is based in Nairobi. We have 44 African countries as member countries. And also just what we do is specifically attending to the needs of affordable housing in Africa. So as I indicated earlier, is that we can't just go on to deliver units. We need to be sustainable. We need to be cognizant of the fact that the challenge of climate change is ever growing. We have seen it hands-on practical, and housing is the key contributor to CO2 emissions. So how are we achieving that? And how can we be able to see this implemented across our member countries and also to learn from each other? So in terms of that, I will have under the Center of the Shelter Africa, we have the Policy Research and Partnerships Unit, which is responsible for all aspects relating to capacity building, research and development, innovation, and other related aspects to supporting Shelter Africa's work in attending to the challenge of affordable housing. So this slide here that I've named on the screen, it's talking about the numbers, which you're all aware of, which I won't really take much time to indicate, but just to kind of give us the challenge of where we are in terms of housing and also what needs to be done. According to a study by UN Habitat, 47% of Africa's population are considered to be living in slums, which translated to around 257 million.
Dr.
And this is
Gambo,
expected.
we lost you. Just check your microphone, please.
Am I audible now?
Yes. No, just a minute. We are resetting the system.
Recording stopped.
Just a minute. Bear with us. I think we have problem. We have power problem. Power rationing again. I think it's a problem of power rationing. Sorry for that. It's Hello.
Yes.
Yes, we have. This is a reality here. I mean, frequent power blackout. L'énergie renouvelable de l'hydro. Ça fait partie de, voilà. Vous étiez contre le plaques solaire. Maintenant, vous êtes pour les plaques solaires. Oui. Oui. Disons que c'est l'objectif même. c'est l'objectif même de cette conférence. C'est ce qu'ils sont en train de dire. C'est ce que nous sommes en train de dire. Le thème même de la conférence, c'est comment accélérer la transition vers les énergies décentralisées. Ouais. Parce que c'est... Oui, il y a aussi la population. Mais on a dit ce matin, l'augmentation de la population, la demande est élevée. Donc, ouais. Alors, Dr. Gambo.
Yes, Vincent.
Yes, we have problems here. I mean, I can hear you because I'm connected through my mobile phone. So, and then the computer they are using is connected to the UPS. So, but the participant cannot hear. Sorry for that. Apologies.
It's okay.
But when we resume, maybe you can just sort of summarize so that we ask our good friend from IRENA to also present, because I'm already the next session is already in the room, requesting to start also.
Vincent, this is Rana. Just a quick question. So there will not be a follow-up discussion, right? So it can basically drop off.
Sorry?
This is Rana. I was only wondering, there will not be another discussion. I can leave the discussion now.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Rana.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks to all to have seen you.
We keep in touch. Bye.
Yes, we keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Bye. Bye-bye. Okay. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions que je peux essayer de répondre en attendant que la lumière entre? Yes. He's coming back. He's coming. I just spoke to him. He's waiting for the power to, yes. There are the other participants, the other panelists that have presented that ask if they can leave, no? So. Question, yes, oui. Quelles sont les difficultés que rencontre le Cameroun dans la transformation des déchets en énergie électrique? Oui, oui. Non, j'ai compris votre question. Oui. Oui.
Recording in progress.
Ok. Je pense que la question au Cameroun, c'est que c'est un projet qui n'a pas encore commencé. Parce que Isacam, ce que Isacam fait à Douala, je pense aussi ici à Yaoundé, ils transforment les déchets en biogaz et ils font ce qu'on appelle gaz flaring. C'était une approche, disons, il y a 10 ans, et pour avoir les fonds carbone. Et donc, le projet n'a pas débuté au Cameroun. Donc, je pense que les blocages, c'est au niveau pas institutionnel, c'est que ça n'a pas commencé. Il faut les finances. Il faut aussi la capacité, il faut que les maires initient des projets de biogaz, par exemple. Allô, Dr. Gambo?
Yes, Vincent.
Yes, go ahead and please summarize
Okay, okay.
To our next speaker.
Okay, okay. So I have already lost so much time. So
yes, perhaps you can put emphasis on the sustainability aspect.
Exactly. So just this slide gives us an indication of where we are in terms of the need for Africa, more specifically sub-Saharan Africa, to put in measures to attend to the challenge of climate change. There's a study by AFDB which indicates that by 2050, the GDP in Eastern and Western Africa is expected to decline by 15% if measures are not being put in place to attend to the challenge of climate change. And we're all aware of the fact that among the SDGs, SDG 11 is talking about sustainable cities, 13 climate action. So there's the need for these two key goals to be pursued at the same time, and also to come together with all partners, because it's not a kind of a responsibility of only one entity. There needs to be a multi-collaborative approach. So that's what we seek to achieve here. And this slide here gives us a kind of a snapshot of what is the contribution of housing in terms of CO2 emission. The building sector accounts for 38% of all energy-related CO2 emissions. So, and this is relating to the building constructions, aspect related to the delivery of units. So this really puts into the context of more needs to be done in terms of attending to the challenge of climate change from a perspective of housing delivery. So that's what we are doing. What is Shelter Africa doing in this perspective? As I indicated earlier, Shelter Africa is a Pan-African housing finance institution based in Nairobi, Kenya. We have 44 African countries as shareholders and members in Shelter Africa. So what we do is basically providing solutions to the challenge of affordable housing. And one area of key interest is that just recently we held our 40th AGM in Yaoundé in July this year. What we indicated clearly is that we had the Yaoundé Declaration. Part of it is that sustainable housing delivery is the key area of interest for Shelter Africa, because we shouldn't only focus on housing delivery to plug in the housing deficit in Africa. But what needs to be done is that what needs to be considered is that we need to be sustainable as we are going towards solving the challenge of affordable housing. So what are we doing in terms of securing Africa's sustainable future? The financing, what we do in terms of our product and services, it's we are given an indication in terms of line of credits, project financing, PPP, partnerships, capacity building. All these are some of our key areas of activities. But as a relation to this engagement here is that we have a collaborative approach with IFC, that's International Finance Corporation, on the EDGE platform. EDGE platform is a globalized tool in terms of enhancing green building in Africa. It's our collaboration seeks to achieve is that we are considered to be an EDGE champion towards our commitment to championing green affordable housing delivery in Africa. So what we have considered is that we can't just talk about green building in Africa without looking at the other end in terms of capacitating those that are responsible to deliver these units at the sites. So we, as part of our initiative, it's about to it IFC Edge, we have a range of capacity building programs, upskill the knowledge and the capabilities of our developers to have the necessary knowledge, the necessary capabilities to deliver units that are considered sustainable. Just recently, some few months back, in May, we held this workshop, and over time, we are continuously engaging with our developers and other stakeholders and partners to capacitate them and to enable them have necessary skills and capabilities to put in necessary measures and strategies to achieve the objective of green building. So with this, I would like to take much time because we are already constrained in terms of timing. So I'm available for any form of engagement. My contacts, my email is available here. We're looking forward to collaborating with all partners because, as I indicated, the responsibility of green building is not vested upon one single entity. We at the housing finance sector, we are well ready to partner with all similar-minded institutions and bodies to come together towards attending to the challenge of climate change in Africa. Thank you for your attention.
For accepting program green buildings. It's giving the different strategy on promoting green building. So that is really indeed a good information from your end. Just for your own information, according to Shelter Afrique, the demand of housing, social housing in Africa is estimated at 60 million. And they are in charge of providing that 60 million, construction of 60 million houses. That's why we thought that it will be important to hear from them. Given that we have run out of our time, we still have one participant there. That is Madam Imen Jerbuch from IRENA. She is coordinating a program called Solar Simulator. It's a tool that allows cities to assess their solar energy potential. So we wanted her to come and present that tool, and then also giving the link so that municipality could basically, by using the tool, they can assess their energy potential. Irma, you have the floor.
Thank you, Vincent, and thank you all for the invitation.
Hello.
Do you see my presentation? Just
Yes.
for the confirmation. Perfect. So my talk is about the IRENA Solar City Simulator, which is an online tool developed to empower policymakers and homeowners in city in transforming the way the energy is produced, distributed, and consumed. Sorry. Okay. Okay, sorry. So the simulator was developed to accelerate the deployment of the rooftop solar PV system by allowing the user to technically and financially assess the feasibility of such installation. This assessment is conducted based on modeling approach, coupled with local fiscal context, which allows citywide simulations of the rooftop solar PV opportunities. With this tool, the homeowner and project developers can construct different simulations and extract useful infographics. The simulator also supports city-level urban planning by testing system designs, policy instruments, and incentive schemes. It also allows settings of NDC targets and creation of rooftop solar programs, and of course, social environmental opportunities. So leveraging on the pilot project developed for the city of Kasese in Uganda in 2019, the Solar City Simulator was developed considering 3 components, which involved mainly the creation of the 3D building footprint using satellite images. Second is the identification of the suitable area on the roof by simulating the rooftop solar PV potential using the city features and, of course, the solar resource data. And the last step is the quantification of the impact of different policy incentive and financial indicators on the financial indicators and the social environmental benefits using a simple metrics. So this is the methodology. So the developed methodology is backed by a user-friendly platform that we see here that allows basically the visualization of the solar technical potential at a high spatial temporal resolution, the simulation of the financial potential considering different input parameters, the download of the assessment reports in the form of graphs, tables, and reports, and the switch between different simulators for cities to view and compare economic returns on a single platform. So this solution delivers a cost-effective and scalable platform that proactively assesses the impact of different metrics for different cities. opportunity for tailor-made simulations by allowing the users to modify first the system specifications over selected area, specifically the PV module efficiency with storage capacity and the annual consumption per household. Sorry. We have also the financing parameters as the input, such as the loan structure, subsidies, corporate tax rate and credit, different electricity prices, and capital and operational expenditure to test the deployment opportunities. We have also the environmental impacts factors, such as production, hourly and daily generation profiles. These simulations are calculated or were calculated, pre-calculated at a pixel level at 1 meter square, and hourly data, of course, we have. And the annual consumption is provided here as a reference to compare with the annual production. We have also the financing output, which depend on the scenario, simulated scenario. Payback, total revenue, net income, and cash flow. For the community case study, we calculate the investment, payback, and the equity internal rate of return. Or the simulator provides indication on government spending, electricity for end use, and reduction for fossil fuels. And the last component is the social environmental benefits, which include the greenhouse gases. So these parameters are estimated based on the. So the simulator allows the user these parameters to test different scenarios, leading to an indication of the favorability of a project. So the user can. It's a free online tool again. Here we see the landing page of the simulator, where points indicate the simulator under development. So the simulator is developed for 11 cities, including Antigua and Barbuda coastal line, Chongli in China, 3 markets in Nigeria, Victoria in Seychelles, and Kasese in Uganda. The coming simulators, for instance, are for Shaheen Bay in Turkey, Port Louis in Mauritius, and also Saint Thomé in Principe. And of course, the simulator can be extended for more cities. So when you click on any point, this panel would open, and it will correspond to the city itself. For example, here we have Kasese, Uganda, and we have 3 scales for residential scale, community, and large scale. When you click this scale, will allow the access to the simulator. So here is the main page of the simulator. On the right hand or right side.
Recording stopped.
From the left side, we have different subcategories. You can select the roof, tailor the configuration, and tune the simulation. The corresponding outputs for the specified configuration, such as the annual production and their system. Mental benefits. Such as the annual production and the PV surface, again, will be automatically calculated. All these numbers here. But the user will have the option to tune the PV capacity and self-consumption as needed using these slides here. On the map, it shows basically the high potential. All sides, hourly and daily resolution, temporal resolution, and he can also get the cash flow charts. And all these charts or graphs can be downloaded in different formats. The user also can generate a report of the selected roof that will indicate, of course, the selected configuration related to the system, the financing and environmental parameters as well. So by clicking on the set inputs here, the user will see the default parameters that has been considered for the simulation. And it includes basically the installation configuration, the system cost, financing with the loan option, consumption here for different categories or users, policy in the country, and the environmental. The user can further modify the simulations by changing all these parameters. This is the default parameters that we set from our literature review and discussion with the country. So all these functionalities that I have presented are valid for the as well. So to conclude, this city simulator would provide the cities with the necessary information to develop or to deploy and plan for future rooftop solar PV programs. We can say also that we would for countries based on applied science through image processing, satellite data, of course. Proactive development of the simulator through bilateral engagement with the cities to ensure the public get the most benefits of the platform. So with this, I will close the presentation and thank you all. To you, Vincent.
Idman, for this presentation. I just want to ask one question to you. Should a city in Cameroon wanted to apply this simulator, what are the process to do that?
So the process is really simple. I think it's the normal process also that we follow in IRENA. The Ministry of Energy will have to send an official request to IRENA, and of course we will be happy to support any city in Cameroon or any other country. More rooftop PV system in any place.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Just a minute, I just want to sort of emphasize the importance of this type of tools, because we were complaining earlier on that with this building, we could have generated electricity so that the building can be self-sufficient in energy. But this is a tool that was developed by IRENA to really allow cities to assess their energy potential, and then at the same time also create a sort of business case, because it shows you what will be the total amount of energy that can be generated for a particular roof, but at the same time it also shows you how the quantity of CO2 emission that will be avoided. And that is why it was important for us to present this tool. So any question apart from this?
Merci beaucoup. C'est précisément mon inquiétude. Je voudrais savoir si vous regardez un peu les ouvertures de nos maisons, de ce bâtiment. Dans nos maisons, nous avons des serrures avec le fer pour ouvrir, avec la clé. Si la maison a son courant avec les plaques solaires sur le toit comme sur les murs, en cas de catastrophe naturelle, les tremblements de terre, par exemple, qui sont fréquents dans nos pays à tout moment, tous ceux qui sont dans le bâtiment peuvent être sans secours parce qu'ils vont être tous électrocutés. Quelqu'un va aller là-bas, il est pris. Et alors, comment peut-on sécuriser quand tout le bâtiment est électrifié de façon autonome, alors qu'actuellement, le courant qui nous vient de l'autre côté, il suffit qu'on coupe le câble et les gens sont libérés dedans. Mais là, tout est bloqué avec le courant sur le toit et sur les murs. Comment est-ce que c'est possible d'être sauvé en cas de catastrophe naturelle?
Merci beaucoup pour cette question. Y a-t-il d'autres questions? Parce que nous sommes en train d'abuser de l'indulgence des...
OK, merci de m'avoir passé la parole. Ma question est la suivante. Pour les plaques solaires, il y a des jours où la lumière, ça n'accumule pas tellement la lumière et la nuit, ça s'éteint à un certain moment. Comment faire pour que cette lumière résiste jusqu'au matin? C'est ça ma question.
Merci beaucoup, madame. Oui.
Merci beaucoup. Oui, savoir au niveau de l'intégration de technologies doivent toujours passer, comme la dame l'a dit tout à l'heure, il faudrait que ce soit le ministère des Mines qui en fasse la demande. Pourquoi ne pas recevoir directement les demandes des communautés qui sont bénéficiaires? Et peut-être obtenir des facilités au niveau de l'administration pour que
My question goes in almost the same line. I just want to know if the solution is affordable as well for individuals or is just for states. That's the first question. And the second one, what is the cost? How much does it cost? Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Idmen?
Oui.
Il y a deux questions dont je pense que vous pouviez répondre.
Bien sûr, je peux répondre à 3 questions, Vincent?
Oui, allez-y, allez-y.
D'accord, merci. Je vais commencer par la question de madame concernant l'installation des panneaux solaires, l'utilisation des panneaux solaires ou de l'électricité générée durant la nuit, en fait. La solution la plus évidente, c'est en fait d'installer une batterie avec le système. Comme ça, l'électricité qui va être générée durant la journée va être moitié, disons, utilisée, et l'autre moitié serait dans la batterie, récupérée ou sauvegardée dans la batterie. Comme ça, la nuit, les gens ou les habitants pourront utiliser l'électricité durant la nuit à partir de cette batterie. Ça, c'est la seule solution, en fait, qu'il faudrait envisager. Et là, il faut vraiment faire un bon plan durant l'installation, faire le devis pour inclure la batterie dans l'installation. Et en fait, le simulateur a cette option-là. Donc, quand une ville demande le développement du simulateur, ils disent s'ils veulent l'utiliser avec batterie. Sinon, la charge qui n'est pas utilisée durant la journée, elle serait injectée dans le réseau électrique. Donc là, les villes ont cette option, en fait, soit d'injecter dans le réseau électrique, soit de sauvegarder ça dans les batteries pour l'utilisation dans la nuit ou dans les prochaines heures, disons. Donc ça, c'est la première question. La deuxième question de monsieur, c'était pourquoi la demande officielle doit être directement du ministère vers IRENA. Je vais juste être prudente là et répondre comme je l'ai appris. Parce qu'en fait, c'est la logistique qui a été développée entre IRENA et les pays membres. Les demandes doivent venir directement du ministère de l'Énergie. Ça, c'est un mais. Enfin, bien sûr, dans notre cas, dans votre cas, même si c'est la ville, vous pouvez contacter votre ministère. Mais le développement, après, quand on commence le développement, c'est directement avec la municipalité. Donc, on est en contact avec les municipalités et puis les représentants du ministère sont toujours en copie. C'est juste pour les laisser savoir de l'avancement du projet et aussi pour d'autres logistiques, pour avoir des programmes financement pour la ville, par exemple. Donc ça c'est une de notre question. L'autre question de monsieur c'était en anglais. Why we have to go through the ministry and not from individuals? Basically, if you are in a city and then you are a household and you want to install a PV system, I think here you will not be the only person, right, with this idea. I mean, it's better if you have like more. I mean, the initiative is through the municipality, so a lot of people will develop the simulator for an area. Minimum area is 5 square kilometers. So if you are the only person interested in installing the PV system, I think it will be very costly, for IRENA to do it. Consider to develop the simulator if 5 square kilometers and install PV. So this is the constraint, but at the that you want is 5 square kilometers, and then you will be happy, of course, to develop the simulator for your city. And I think
OK. Il y avait la question sur le prix. Et je pense que
le prix, yeah, désolé. And the cost, actually, because IRENA will just want to specify something. See, from the presentation, I mentioned that we work with the municipality to develop the simulator. So the main cost comes from the calculation of the 3D building footprint and the roof shape. This is the main. So we make sure first with the municipality that they don't have this data. If the municipality or the ministry or the country have this information, we try, to get this data from the country, and then, continue the development. The cost will be paid by IRENA. But if the country doesn't have this information, we just proceed with what we have, and then, we calculate it. The cost is basically for the country is zero, for the municipality, sorry, zero, and IRENA is paying it through the other funds. The core fund or voluntary contribution. And then the first question, la question de monsieur, c'était dans le cas des catastrophes naturelles. Donc là, en fait, moi, je pense pas que le simulateur est dans cette direction, parce que dans le fond, là, le simulateur, ce qu'il donne, c'est une estimation typique. Étalant la moyenne sur 10 ans ou 20 ans, on calcule le potentiel de l'installation technique ou financière sur une période de 20 ans. Mais ce que vous parlez là, c'est en fait les ingénieurs sur le site, quand ils installent le PV et le système solaire, c'est sûr, moi je suis ingénieur en électronique, c'est sûr que je n'ai pas travaillé dedans, mais d'après moi, là, il y a toujours un système de sécurité que quand il y a une catastrophe, le disjoncteur bloque. Donc ça, je suis pas mal sûre là que cette technique-là existe et que les ingénieurs sur le site-là ont une solution efficace là-dessus. Mais je suis tout à fait d'accord que le système PV est vraiment mortel parce que ça produit une électricité continue et c'est une des raisons pourquoi les ingénieurs et les développeurs insistent à installer des mesures de sécurité pour ne pas, disons, causer des catastrophes et la perte de vie humaine. C'est juste ça les questions, Vincent? Vincent, je n'ai pas oublié.
Non, merci beaucoup, Imen, pour toutes ces précisions. Je vais juste ajouter 2 éléments de réponse à monsieur sur les installations solaires. C'est important de faire recours aux spécialistes qui ont la maîtrise des questions de sécurité électrique pour qu'ils installent. Si en installant, s'ils utilisent tous les équipements nécessaires, il n'y aurait pas de problème, même en cas de tremblement de terre. Parce qu'il y a tout on appelle en anglais des safeguards, les équipements qui permettent de contraindre tout. Voilà. Donc, c'est très important. Il faut que ce soit un spécialiste. Et pour madame, pour les panneaux solaires, pour le système solaire, il faut aussi, quand on achète le système, il faut d'abord savoir sa demande et acheter le système en fonction de la demande. Parce que si vous allez sur le marché, vous dites que vous voulez un panneau solaire. Et ce panneau solaire ne génère pas suffisamment d'énergie pour vos besoins, vous aurez toujours ces problèmes. Donc, encore une fois, ce serait intéressant de voir aussi des techniciens qui puissent vous conseiller. C'est un peu comme avoir une lampe tempête et avoir très peu d'énergie à l'intérieur. Ça va s'éteindre à un certain moment quand la quantité sera finie. Donc, voilà un peu. Donc, je pense que nous arrivons à terme. Je pense qu'il y a encore deux questions. J'avais... parce que tout à l'heure, on m'a demandé de vite finir parce qu'il y a une autre session. Je pense qu'ils sont allés dans une autre salle. Bon, si vous voulez, on continue. Je n'ai pas de problème. Ils sont? Ah, la session aura lieu ici. Voilà. Désolé, à moins que vous ayez une question très rapide, c'est-à-dire 30 secondes.
Thank you very much. I think my preoccupation is directly on when we want to talk about renewable energy. Maybe we are looking away, taking people away from using of fossil, maybe to cars that are driven by electricity and so on. What has been my worry is all the big barons who deal with oil and so on. What are we doing? Because we must first of all tackle them, because those are the persons who will put blockages on this issue of changing gradually. Because you must be able to find out what start saying that those who were oil dealers and so on, what do we do with them? Because if you don't do that, then they will put speed brakes on the road. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Ok, merci. Moi, c'est pas une question du tout, c'est une suggestion. Alors, moi, c'est toujours en réaction à ma première préoccupation. Ma suggestion serait la suivante. Pourquoi ne pas envisager que les demandes puissent venir de il s'agit, nous avons au niveau des ODD des objectifs à atteindre avec des délais précis. Imaginez le cas d'une communauté qui est prête à acquérir la technologie, mais que ceci ne soit pas dans les priorités actuelles du demandeur, c'est-à-dire que de celui qui est officiellement qualifié pour faire la demande. Alors, il serait plus intéressant que les demandes puissent venir de partout et que maintenant, sachant qu'il y a une autorité de tutelle, que celle-ci soit juste là pour assurer justement la tutelle et garantir que les demandes parviennent à temps et que les solutions soient trouvées à temps. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Je pense que Imed va répondre aussi en insistant sur les autres fenêtres de financement que IRENA a, parce qu'il y a le Abu Dhabi Award, Abu Dhabi Fund, qui est un financement qui existe pour les autorités locales. Il y a plusieurs autres fonds. Ici, nous avons parlé juste d'un seul instrument. Et si j'ai bien compris, la préoccupation de Irena, c'est que si le demandeur, si ça ne vient pas d'un gouvernement, puisqu'il faut des finances, il faut beaucoup investir pour développer le logiciel. Et donc, c'était ça sa préoccupation. C'est pourquoi ils aimeraient que la requête passe par le gouvernement pour leur permettre d'utiliser leurs fonds. Mais si ça passe directement par les individus, je suis sûr qu'elle va répondre. Il y avait une autre question par ici. Oui. OK. Oui. Imen, à vous la demande est que votre logiciel est tellement apprécié, il y a les autorités qui aimeraient vous contacter directement et éviter de passer par le gouvernement pour éviter la lourdeur administrative. Est-ce que cela est possible?
Pour dire vrai, là, la seule méthode là qu'on m'a appris ça passe par les ministères ou le gouvernement parce que IRENA répond à ses membres. Et pas aux individus, mais c'est sûr que les individus font partie là du pays, il n'y a pas de souci, mais c'est juste que c'est la logistique, c'est comme ça que le système est bâti. Mais dans le fond là, ce qui est important là, c'est la lettre là, elle n'est pas lourde, hein. C'est une lettre officielle que je peux même on pourrait en discuter offline sur ce point, mais il n'y a pas la paperasse n'est pas énorme, c'est juste une lettre. Et puis après, là, le développement, ce qui est important, c'est le développement est fait en collaboration avec les municipalités. Et c'est ça, pour moi, là, c'est ça le plus important. Parce que pour moi, d'après mon opinion, c'est la ville là qui va l'utiliser, c'est les habitants qui vont l'utiliser. Donc, il faut vraiment que ce soit un représentant du contexte de la ville. Et ça, c'est le paperasse administratif, je ne pense pas qu'elle est tellement lourde. Parce que d'après, là, on a déjà développé le simulateur pour... on a maintenant 13 villes ou 14 villes. La paperasse n'était pas énorme. C'est juste une lettre et une réponse.
OK. Merci beaucoup. Je pense que la réponse est très bien comprise.
Mais Vincent, mais potentiellement, là, sur le site Internet d'IRENA, vous allez trouver toute la documentation sur le simulateur, même une adresse email. On pourrait discuter là pour tout ce que vous voulez, disons la question, même là, on pourrait faire l'inverse. Là, peut-être qu'on pourrait en parler avec le ministère d'un pays pour leur dire là qu'on reçoit des demandes de ces gens-là qui peuvent, au moins là, pour voir ou pour lancer la discussion et puis on va les relancer en fait pour les inciter à envoyer la lettre. On pourrait faire ça, hein. Il n'y a pas de souci. Il y a toujours une solution à n'importe quel sujet. Mais il faut juste l'intérêt. Et comme Vincent disait tout à l'heure, le simulateur coûteux, oui, c'est juste que l'idée, c'est que si le pays là, a un besoin pour développer le simulateur, ça veut dire qu'ils ont un programme de financement pour aider les habitants à envoyer. Il y a la policy ou la réglementation en place là pour installer l'installation des systèmes solaires et être à l'aise et être confiant parce qu'à la fin, là, le système va être installé pour 25 ans. Donc, si vous installez, là, c'est 25 ans là, que vous avez ça sur votre toit, ce n'est pas juste une année ou deux. Donc, l'idée, là, c'est vraiment mettre les gens à l'aise, les éduquer, les rassurer qu'ils auront un bon investissement à long terme. Et puis, c'est l'objectif. Donc, on pourrait, il y a toujours un pays là à avoir le simulateur. Il faut juste là commencer à discuter, puis on va trouver une solution, c'est sûr.
Merci beaucoup, Imen. Peut-être juste deux mots sur le fonds, le Abu Dhabi Fund for Sustainable Development, parce que vu qu'il y a les autorités locales dans la salle, ils peuvent aussi participer au fonds. Je sais que le plus souvent, c'est en janvier, non, qu'il y a la proclamation des vainqueurs.
Okay. Pour dire vrai, là, je ne suis pas une experte en finance, là, je ne veux pas dire des conneries, là, mais à IRENA, on a aussi des experts financiers, et puis ces gens-là aident les pays puis à trouver du financement pour n'importe quel projet. Internet, il y a l'email là d'IRENA acheminé au département. Mais comme Vincent disait, là, il y a toujours une option là pour financement. Vous venez de mentionner, oui, le fonds d'Abu Dhabi là est une opportunité pour donner du financement. D'après ma compréhension, et ce qui est normal aussi.
OK, merci beaucoup. Alors, je peux dire que nous arrivons là. Je pense que vous aviez, voilà, comme vous faites partie du Cameroon Green Building Council, je vous donne 2 minutes. Voilà, pour présenter votre Green Building. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Vincent. I'm very happy to be here today. I head the Cameroon Green Building Council as CEO. The Cameroon Green Building Council is a member of the World Green Building Council, which is a network of about 70 green building councils around the world. You need need to come towards us to be able to have a lot of opportunities. A lot has been said here. A lot has been said on green finance, sustainable buildings, and all of that. That we can handle a lot of things. So all the local authorities who are here, we're inviting you to approach your local Green Building Council, which is a Green Building Council of going to take place from the 6th to the 7th of October. We are going to elaborate a lot. I will follow up a bit on what Dr. Gambo was saying. I mean, concerning buildings, what he said is very pertinent. They are in partnership with the IFC Edge, IFC, which is equally a financier. IFC finances green construction and all of that. They're in partnership with IFC Edge. For a building to be sustainable, I will just say this, the building needs a third-party certification. It means it has to be certified green before probably it is financed. So those are the kind of things you come towards us, you're going to learn. Thank you very much, Vincent. I was happy being here.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the reason why I'm giving you the floor was to make sure that we really respond to the theme of the celebration of World Habitat Day, that is accelerating action, urban action, climate action for a free carbon city. Mesdames et messieurs, de cette table ronde, bien qu'elle n'est pas ronde, mais plus ou moins, mais quand même, elle nous a quand même permis d'échanger beaucoup sur les différentes empreintes carbone. L'objectif de la table ronde était de passer en revue les différentes solutions. Nous avons parlé de l'énergie, de la production de l'énergie. Nous avons parlé du fait que l'énergie fossile était un grand contributeur des gaz à effet de serre. Nous avons aussi rapidement vu que le bâtiment était responsable ensemble avec le transport, la mobilité urbaine, était aussi des grands consommateurs d'énergie et donc producteurs du carbone. Nous avons aussi vu que les déchets urbains, les déchets municipaux, pouvaient aussi être transformés en énergie et donc réduire le marché notre empreinte carbone. Bref, on a parlé de l'efficience énergétique, l'efficience des ressources, en disant que si nous essayons de réduire notre consommation d'énergie fossile, l'énergie non propre, on pourra atteindre donc les objectifs. L'accord de Paris, par exemple, qui nous dit que si nous ne réduisons pas notre empreinte carbone d'ici 2050, le monde sera en difficulté. Vous avez vu, il y a une Dr Gambo de Shelter Afrique nous a dit, si on continue avec cette lancée, on aura une perte de 15% du produit intérieur brut. Et même encore ce matin, le prix Nobel de la paix nous a dit que nous sommes dans une maison qui est en train de brûler et nous ne faisons rien. On sait très bien qu'il faut éteindre ce feu, mais personne ne dit rien. Donc, bref, je pense, à travers cet atelier, avoir donné des éléments qui vous permettent de mieux comprendre la problématique et aussi afin que nous puissions chacun rentrer chez lui en disant « oui, je vais changer mon comportement, je sais déjà que d'ici 2030, il faudra déjà commencer à penser à acheter des véhicules électriques. Il faudra aussi commencer à ne plus penser à acheter une voiture personnelle, mais utiliser le transport public. Qu'il faudra aussi investir dans les énergies renouvelables parce que c'est justement ce qu'il nous faut pour éteindre donc ce feu qui est en train de brûler notre maison. Je vous remercie donc pour votre aimable attention, pour avoir resté avec nous et surtout, je m'excuse encore de ces désagréments techniques qui ont fait à ce que cet atelier a duré plus qu'on avait planifié aussi. Donc, merci beaucoup. C'était un plaisir d'être avec vous. Je vous remercie. Merci. Merci aussi à mes panélistes, surtout à Imen qui est encore là. Je pense que les autres sont partis, mais quand même, merci beaucoup pour vos contributions. Merci.
Merci Vincent pour l'invitation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Deux fois la vie nous fait mal, parce que c'est un truc banal qui nous lie à l'instinct animal. La vie est comme une laide femme difficile à quitter.